It's fine. Fuck Obama. I hate that nigga. He was not the first black president. This motherfucker, your dad's from Kenya. Your mom is white. You are the result of jungle fever. You never...
Which is all good. But...
Which is fine. I have no problem with that. But you never grew up in a black community. Your first experience with the quote-unquote black community was when you decided to be a political activist in Chicago. And even then, I think it was a disingenuous, just so you can pad your resume to get into Harvard Law. Then, when you got elected, you couldn't even say you were the first black president or anything. You just said, I'm the American president. I'm not just black people's president. I'm America's president. Shut your bitch ass up, man. Fuck you. Like, yo, no. I dislike, and again, most people say, well, you just hating on another black man. No, Obama isn't black. He's not a black president. He has no experience. He has zero of the black American experience.
And I know this because I actually read both of his books. The one with The Audacity to Hope, and then the follow-up after he became a senator. The first one was like after he became, I think right after he became the first black Harvard law president.
And that's fine. I'm not taking
that. Now I give him his.
I'll give him that. All right, I'm not gonna give him black. You're the first colored.
Yeah.
You're not even black. Your dad's from Kenya. He left your mom to go back to Kenya.
You know, I should have brought my my little. I might do that in a live stream later. I was gonna do a live stream where I did my results from the Nat Genographic project to show because I think I'm like a common breakdown of most FBA. So it would just show
what part of Africa are you from? Which is most like West and Sub-Saharan Africa.
And the percentages and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I might do that on a vertical live.
His says 50-50. If that. If your dad's from Kenya, your mom is white, bruh, no, you did not have the black American experience. You just didn't. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
See, that's a responsible doggone. I should do a separate video on that.
You should. But that's my thing though. I'm just tired of hearing about how Obama, he's the first black president. He didn't do shit for black people though. He didn't. And the only time you heard him talk about cater to black people was when he needed votes.
Well, I'll give him that he relaxed some of the laws from the 1994 stuff that Biden put in his. You don't get
a cookie for that. Because Trump did more.
Yeah, he literally did. So, which is so funny because every time I say something in support of Trump on here, I get tons of comments. Oh, you're a coon. Oh, you're a sellout. Oh, you're Uncle Tom. I'm like, yeah, okay, but y'all don't know, it's a disproportionate amount of black men voting for Trump this year. It may be for the right reasons, it may be for the wrong reasons, but a lot of them are going to vote for Trump this election. And like I was saying in a previous video, I said, these aren't the Carlton Banks that are voting for Trump this year. These are the hood niggas voting for Trump. So.
But like I said, fuck Obama, yo. Obama was a president to make white liberals feel good about themselves.
Yep. Pretty much.
I'm over it. I don't care. I'm tired. I don't care anymore. I'm tired of living in this ghetto ass place with these ghetto ass people.
Which is literally the argument my cousin made when he voted for Trump back in 2016. Back then, I was all on my progressive bullshit. So I was like, man, I said that sounds stupid. Now I'm flash forward, 2016 was that 8 years ago now?
Yep. I'm
like, cuz you was right, I'm sorry. I literally told him that. I said, you were right. He said, I don't care. He said, it's cool. He didn't take it seriously.
Because I get why. I get why there was a push against Trump. I understand it. My issue is that Obama didn't do anything for black people.
He literally didn't, other than just rep, even though he's not really black. And so,
but he didn't even do that well.
Well, let me say this to the audience because we know what we mean. But so, when we're saying the guy isn't black, what we're saying, guys, is so his father was a Kenyan migrant or international student that came to America, got with his mother, a white woman from the Midwest or Oklahoma, wherever they were from, had him. I think they got married, or I'm not sure, but that relationship
It dissolved.
It dissolved. He went back to Kenya. Meanwhile, he grew up in Hawaii. Not very many black people. Most black people you'll find in Hawaii are in the service, not people who just live on the island.
And if you live in Hawaii, if you're living on Hawaii on the islands,
so
you have money.
There's no really black community. People can, if people want to shout out some parts of Hawaii that have a black community, let me know. But for the most part, there's no like black community in Hawaii. So he grew up there all his life, mostly all his life. But his mother remarried an Indonesian woman, and they actually lived in Indonesia for several years. He ended up being able to speak Indonesian fluently because as president, he actually went over there and did a talk and was able to speak to them in Indonesian while he was there. And he has a Indonesian half sister. So I think that's where the conspiracy theories came from, saying that he wasn't American and all that sort of stuff. But he is, as much as Hawaii is a part of America, I guess. But he's like I said, so he was never he never grew up in a black community. His father's Kenyan. For those who don't know, a lot of Africans don't consider themselves black. The black community for several decades has been the most inclusive ethnic group probably in America. Like basically, if you had a touch of brown in you, we were saying come on in. Yep. For the longest time. But then there was another group saying, well, I'm not black, I'm Kenyan. I'm not black, I'm Nigerian. I'm not black, I'm Guyanese. I'm not black, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I'm from Barbados.
Yep. None of them were black
we used to hear this for the longest time because as a kid, I didn't discriminate as long. I didn't care if your name was Okechiwi or whatever. Like if you looked like me, basically I was like, all right, you're black. But they didn't see it that way. So now we're like, fuck it, we don't see it that way either with you, because now you guys want to claim some of our benefits, even though you don't share our struggle, and you don't claim us. So we're not claiming you anymore either. That's where this whole diaspora war within the black community comes from, is that these black, Caribbean, and Latino people of African ancestry want to claim they're black only when it politically benefits or economically benefits them. But they weren't down with the black community, with our struggles, our history. A lot of them make fun of
they make fun of us,
black people for their
how they were treated,
because of the transatlantic slave trade. Not to mention, a lot of these Africans still come from places where they still indulge in slavery. And if you don't believe me, you guys can Google it. Like, there's still like slavery going on. And on top of that, we've been led to act like the white people were the only ones at fault here. The white people were just taking part of something that was already going on in Africa, which was capturing and enslaving people as a business, because they were doing it they were selling them not only to each other but to Arabs 1,000 years before the Europeans jumped in on the market. And so the whole divide between what we say is foundational black Americans or
ADOS,
or American descendants of slavery, compared to Africans that come from other parts of the continent, or from other parts of the world, is where we're at. And so it's like a lot of us don't see Obama as the first black president anymore, because his father was African and his mother was white. He never touched the actual black American community. Like, if what's the name had got elected, that ran, he would have been the actual first black president. Or like, say, when I was a kid, when Jesse Jackson ran, or before I was born, Shirley Chisholm, something like that. Like,
that would have been
those would have been actual black people. But Obama wasn't. He didn't even claim to be black
until it became politically convenient.
But when he needed the votes, then he would go stumping in some little big Atlanta AME Zion church, like crooning and singing, but wouldn't do anything legislatively that would help black people. I guess he let out a few people after he left office,
But that doesn't count because Trump did more.
No, Bush did the most pardons out of. He was like, oh, pardon, there you go.
But that's my point. But that's the point of like for the first quote unquote black president, the only people who got any rights out of that era were gay people.
LGBTQ Q 2S PIAA down with the.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the only group who actually benefited from Obama's presidency was gay people. That's it. It was nobody else benefited from that.
And his hand to be forced on that because Biden was the one who made a gaffe saying that their administration was for same-sex weddings because Obama was actually not for that. He was like, I'm only for civil unions. He said, I don't agree with same-sex weddings. But Biden kind of pushed the issue because he made a gaffe saying that they were, when that probably wasn't discussed previously to do that, to say that like openly. So, and it's been alleged that Obama's a rainbow rider himself. So
probably is. But that's my point. Like I'm not gonna say I'm a Republican now, but I am gonna say this. Like, if you're not ADOS, I don't want to hear nothing about you being a black politician. If you're not FBA or ADOS, whatever term you want to use.
Yeah, this applies to Harris too. She's Jamaican and Indian.
Yep, she's not ADOS at all. I mean, granted,
and she used her office to lock up a lot of black people for nebulous reasons. Like so much so that they had to rain down on like her on some of these convictions because they was like, I forgot which it was for. I don't know if it was the truancy thing.
I think it was the truancy.
There was the truancy thing. Then it was the weed thing. Then it was something else, but she was horrible. And like I was telling one of my friends, he was like, well, she was just doing her job. I'm like, no, I understand that, but don't go around now saying that you're a progressive prosecutor, which I think is a contradiction in terms.
When you made your whole career locking up actual black people, particularly black boys and men.
For truancy.
Of all things.
In the 21st century, truancy? But, and people try to say, well, she went to Howard University and was an AKA. So
they're white. I went to Howard, and let me tell you, there were Indians, Asians, and white people who were on that campus too, and that joined fraternities. Yeah, there was actually a white dude. He was in, I don't know what fraternity he was. I forgot. But so what? Just because you go to an HBCU and you join a frat, it does not mean you're down for the cause. I
had a Korean homeboy. Like we were just discussing that yesterday at school. Like I had a Korean homeboy that became an Alpha Phi Alpha. He was blacker than some of the dudes. Like he ended up marrying a black woman and all. Like it was like no one was surprised. Like he joined the Alphas. He was on the Maryland team. Like did he start? I think he started at one point either. Because Marcus even said he might have. I think he was up for the NFL draft maybe or something like that.
But that's my point. Like
yeah, anybody
can go to a HBCU, join a fraternity if you have enough money.
The BGLOs love a token. I'm just gonna say it. They do.
Yeah,
just like the white fraternities and sororities love tokens. The black fraternities and sororities love a token too. Everyone loves a token.
Yep.
So that doesn't make you
down for the cause or you understand the struggle.
Like that white Delta chick, she could have got it back then. I ain't gonna go.
That's my point. Like I'm just done with the fake like care and concern and the wokeness of it all. Like, bro, y'all don't really want solutions. Y'all just want to maintain the status quo and just call it being progressive because you maybe move the needle a centimeter. I'm
trying to think. Did he do any?
No.
Aside from relaxing some of the 1994 crack laws, whatever, did he do anything else?
No. The matter of fact, Obama.
Because I'm trying to be fair and think.
So
that
it's one thing. The one thing he did do and I'm using that very liberally, pun intended. It was an incident where police were again doing harm to young black kids, and he said he called one of the cops stupid.
No, that was the Harvard professor.
No, that was Obama. And Obama.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He was talking about a Harvard professor that got harassed at his own house because they didn't think it was.
Yeah, and he called him stupid.
But he later apologized and
So
then invited the cops over to his house for beer with that professor.
Yeah, Obama's a bitch for that. I'm sorry. Yo, you's a bitch ass nigga for that. Like, you should have stood on your square. When you was bombing brown people, you stood on your square.
Yeah. Then that's another thing. He had no problem with his little secret drone wars. He bombed the shit out of Yemen and Somalia, so much so, like I said in the previous video, that there was kids I was watching on the morning news saying they were scared to look up at the skies because they were scared that a missile would fall on them. That's horrible. Because like I said, I couldn't imagine being like a 8, 9, 10-year-old kid thinking, will we be bombed today or something like that. And as much flack as Bush got for all the post 9/11 antics, Obama was okaying like operations that Bush thought went too far. And this didn't come out of right-wing news. This came out of the Washington Post. So that, and he, at one point, they started calling him the deporter in chief because he like, people talk about Trump.
I mean, Trump, the thing was he putting kids in cages. I get, but Obama was kicking everybody out.
Because it's funny that he started that program to allow people the process to it basically just streamlined the process for like
asylum
or whatever, and like international students or whatever. But he was doing way worse than Trump when it came to like deporting people and all this other stuff. Like I said, they was literally calling him the deporter in chief. So, well, people forget that stuff because he was on the right team, so the blue team, whatever.
Yep. Like I said, and I'll say it again, fuck that nigga. Bitch ass nigga. Like, I'm standing on that square. I'm standing on that square. Obama didn't do shit for black people. The only people who benefited from his presidency were white liberals and gays. That's it.
I think people liked Obama just because his administration was like free of a lot of controversy.
I'll give him that. He had 8 years of no like scandals in his personal life. I'll give you all of that. But that's
he had a scandal-free administration.
But you don't get no points for that because should be the base. That should just be the starting point. That's just the starting point. You don't get points for that.
People just felt good about themselves during that time because it wasn't.
White liberals felt good about themselves. Yes, I agree. They thought they made a difference, and they didn't. And
then everyone's grandmother and auntie had a picture of Obama up on there
next to Jesus and Martin Luther King.
Up in the living room, right next to Jesus and Martin Luther King. See, baby, that's Jesus. That's Martin Luther King. I was lying when he was born, and that's President Obama. That's the black president.
Fuck that nigga.
Fuck him. But yeah, so. But yeah, that. Because literally, I don't know what. I'm serious. Like, even I go to my grandmother's house, there's literally. Y'all think I'm joking? She literally has the picture of.
It's white Jesus. It's not even black Jesus. It's white Jesus.
She doesn't have the white Jesus up, but she definitely has the Obama picture up. Like that's literally on the wall.
And like I said, I mean, my great grandmother, she wasn't a slave, but I think her parents may have been.
Because like I said, like for older black people, this was an achievement. Like, oh, we got to the White House, and that's because like I just said like a few minutes ago, that's because black people used to be so inclusive. We included everyone who came out of the diaspora as black people. But the bad thing is most people out of the diaspora don't consider themselves black. So that's why I said, fuck them.
Actually, you know the good thing about Clarence Thomas being on the Supreme Court? He actually pushed for it to change the census, so now you can delineate between Black American, like FBA, and the spear chuckers.
Yeah, like I said, people. I'm just gonna say it. I'm not conservative, but Black people owe Clarence Thomas an apology. He was for getting rid of Roe versus Wade a long time ago, and he understood one of the reasons why was that Norma Ray, which is not the bitch's real name, lied and said that she was raped by a Black man in Texas just to get rid of an unwanted pregnancy. And she knew the implications of saying that a Black man assaulted her in the state of Texas
during that time
in the early 70s. That could have been an Emmett Till situation if she wanted to randomly point out some Black man as a scapegoat,
And they would
have strung him out. Then the evidence would have came in later.
Yep.
But she was perfectly cool with that, and that's not so. Roe versus Wade was always on shaky ground, and most people didn't realize that Clarence Thomas had part of that as reason why he was against it. He was also against it for moral convictions as well, but that was consideration. He was also against affirmative action for the similar reasons that it didn't benefit actual Black people that it was intended for. Because people say, well, he got affirmative action, so he's a hypocrite. No, he's not. He was saying that it no longer benefits the very people for which it was intended, which was the Black freedmen, as designated within those old early legal documents. He said that. He acknowledged that, and people ignored it and just say, oh, he's just a hypocrite. No, he wasn't. He was being consistent. And then, like you said, with the census, like where you can now be more specific about
FBA or spear chucker, or
about being African, foundational Black American,
or Caribbean,
or of Caribbean or Latino descent and all that stuff. He made a distinction because
there needs to be a distinction,
because those were the people taking up the benefits of affirmative action
and white women,
and then using it, and then using it to say that Black people were getting unfair advantages in education when actual Black Americans weren't the recipients of most affirmative action. Most affirmative action was just white women, and then aside from that, the actual like people who were non-white receiving the benefits weren't even Black.
They were foreigners.
They were
Indians, Africans.
They were Indians, Asians, and people, Africans and Caribbean and Latino people. They weren't Black Americans. So when it went away, a lot of Black people were just like, we wasn't receiving it.
Yep.
So a lot of people owe Clarence Thomas an apology.
And what's funny is that once white liberal women saw that Clarence Thomas was not on their side, all their racism came out. Oh, he was a whole bunch of niggers. Meanwhile, the rest of how many were? I think it was like 3 who were for Roe v. Wade. So the rest of them.
It was split evenly along.
It was split evenly. Okay.
I mean, it was evenly along ideological lines. So the majority of people in the Congress right now are conservative.
No, I'm talking about I don't care about Congress. I'm talking about the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court voting of it.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's split along ideological lines. So it was like it's like 3 liberals and like
6 conservatives, whatever. But the point is, Clarence Thomas was the only black one who said, "I'm against it." Everybody else was female or was white, and then we had a few white women.
You got black justice, a Puerto Rican justice, a white female justice.
It's a bunch of white. It's a few white female justices and the rest are white men, the majority. But the point I'm trying to make is that none of the white people who voted against Roe v. Wade, who voted against it, most of them were white, and quite a few of them were women. They got no flack. You
talking about Supreme Court?
Yeah.
No, Supreme. It was just those 3, and those are all women. The black.
No,
Katanya, whatever her name is. Katanji, whatever, blah blah blah. Elena Kagan and Sotomayor. Like those
Right,
three.
but
Those were the only three that voted for.
Right, but I'm saying there were white women on the Supreme Court who also voted against Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, there was a.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, there's a conservative that Trump appointed. I forgot her name.
Amy, was it Amy Coleman? No.
Amy Klobuchar. No, that's a senator. Whatever.
I don't know.
Who ran
But the
for
point I'm trying to make is there were white women who voted against Roe v. Wade, and nobody said anything about the white women. Nobody said anything about the white men who voted against it. But the white liberal women specifically targeted the only black man on the Supreme Court with racial slurs because they didn't get their way. Yeah. To go even further, those same white women, when black women were during the pussy rally, I'm calling it the pussy rally because they wore pussy hats. For Roe v. Wade, when black women got on stage and said, hey, look, yes, Roe v. Wade is important. However, we also need to talk about how black women also disproportionately die in childbirth due to, I would say a discrimination in healthcare, because it's still believed that black women don't feel pain like white women, so they don't need certain drugs and blah blah blah. So when black women started talking about that, the white liberal women once again, shh, this ain't the time for that. We don't, no, we can't mix that together. But that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation. But the point is,
the funny thing is, I'm for pro-choice, but I was happy when Roe v. Wade was taken down for the reasons we just discussed, and for the reason it just pissed off white liberal women.
Yep.
That alone just made it worth it. Anything that puts them in a rage is probably a good thing. Oh dear, we'll tear this motherfucker down.
No, you're not. And the crazy,
we'll stop buying mayo. I'm sorry.
but the sad thing is, at the end of the day, fuck that nigga Obama.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you.
No, that's how I feel. Fuck that nigga. Fuck Obama.
Fuck Harris.
Fuck Kamala Harris.
Fuck Biden.
Fuck Biden.
You ain't black if you don't vote for me. Man, shut the fuck up. You said your mentor was Robert S. Byrd. Fucking KKK. Yeah, okay. Then you worked with, what was the other guy? The other white supremacist that said it. Worked with him on keeping schools segregated, to keep the busing, when they were trying to desegregate schools through the little busing program back in the day. Like, and you co-authored the 1994 crime law. Like, no, I think I'm pretty black if I don't vote for him. So I'm not trying to. Then what was it when he was about to fight Popcorn or Cream Puff or whatever the guy's name was when he worked as a lifeguard or something? He had these dumbass names. He said, yeah, cornbread or whatever the fuck. He wanted to fight some black dude way back in the day for some dumb shit. I'm like, man, whatever. And then the audacity to write those 1994 crime laws that targeted black people who had like a smidget of crack on them, when your whole son is a fucking crackhead.
Yeah.
And has never faced any repercussions for it. He got kicked out of the military just to get a $1 billion position. Just to get like a multi-million-dollar executive position doing nothing but using his name.
White liberals, man. White liberals.
And been on the board of some Ukrainian thing. So, I wonder why we support Ukraine. That's why I said fuck Ukraine as well. So, man, I wish I wish I did some dumb shit like smoking crack when I was in the army, and then end up landing a multi-million-dollar job. How the hell did that happen? Because it had to have been a dishonorable discharge, unless they did something to make it like, instead of dishonorable, like less than honorable. Because it's like 4 levels. You got honorable, you got something that's like other. I think there's honorable, other than honorable, less than honorable, and dishonorable. Dishonorable is like damn near like catching a felony. Yeah, it's bad. Because it basically excludes you from any veteran benefits. Like you can't get a VA home loan, you can't do any of that stuff. But yeah, I wish I would. And like I said, to sit there and to co-author a law that makes it hard for black people who have a smidgen of crack on them compared to white people who might have a whole fucking pound of coke, of powdered coke, and then your son is smoking crack and going to motels banging whores. I mean, that might be the life. But he gets rewarded for that, and everyone else gets punished because their last name isn't Biden. Man, fuck him.
Yeah.
If I gotta cash in my black, I've already thrown my black card away, threw it through the shredder, let a dog put shit on it, and then recycled it and did it again. But ain't no way that I'm gonna retain a black card just to vote for that motherfucker again. Not at all.
Yeah. Fuck that nigga Obama. Look, I know I've been saying it a lot, but I really mean it. Cause and the reason I'm also adamant about it is because I was hoping Obama was gonna do something.
No, because that's the thing. The audacity of hope, like Thomas Sowell, that's another good black intellectual. Thomas Sowell hates, like he doesn't say he hates him, but the stuff that he says, it just makes it clear that Thomas Sowell hates that man.
I'm gonna watch it when I get home.
You got Thomas Sowell shows how to intellectually express hatred for someone without ever saying I hate that person. Like he just does it so well. But Thomas Sowell clearly hates Barack Obama. Like he compares him to like Hitler and shit like
God
that.
Dang.
So yeah, when you saying something like that, you clearly hate that person. But yeah, like he like his whole hope thing, like he marketed himself as a progressive, and he was just another neoliberal politician when he got in office. That's what initially disappointed me. I was like, you're no different than Clinton or anyone else that was in office, whether left or right. Like all you guys pretty much do the same thing. Like I should have got the hint when I first knew he went to that Bilderberg meeting, which is like it's like that power meeting. Like the Bilderbergs, like this little secret squirrel meeting of like the most elite people in the world. And they go to discuss like a whole bunch of geopolitical and economic matters, and they wanted to make sure he was on the right side of things, if he gets elected.
Fuck Obama. Fuck
and then he noticed that his administration was staffed with a whole bunch of Wall Street people. So I was like, yeah, he was full of shit.
Fuck that nigga.
And then I hate how Democrats make every election like it's like it's a life or death situation. This is the most important election we'll ever have. Like you can't say that literally every fucking 4 years, but there are people stupid enough that buys into that every year, especially because of Trump. They are, well, I know we said that before, but this time it's real because we got to get Trump out of here.
I mean, the only thing I can say about Trump presidency is, outside of him being a Russian asset, is
which wasn't really proven.
It wasn't proven, but yeah, it was enough.
What I would say is that man, he has interests, like business interests. He doesn't give a fuck, and that's just most business people. Honestly,
I will say this about Trump. The problem with the Trump presidency is he doesn't know when to put the fucking phone down. He doesn't know.
Oh, you mean like texting and shit?
And
like
tweeting and shit, yes.
Well, remember he got banned all those platforms.
No.
That's why he formed True Social.
For certain, I say this.
You know what? Ban me off of every social media platform right now so that I can form my own social media platform and make $5 billion off of it like he did. Please ban me. Yeah.
No, but the reason I say it is because there was a lot of things that Trump did that were really... We'll talk about it off camera. Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is, I understand for geopolitical reasons why he's bad for the country. From that aspect, when it comes to national security, I see why, and I'm okay, and I agree with that, 100%. Outside of national security, let's take national security off the table. Taking that off the table, Everything else, okay, yeah, you know, some of the Klan members felt kind of brave. Okay, we got guns too. Liberals have guns. Don't get it twisted. It's just not a part of our personalities.
I'm not liberal, so.
Liberals, progressives, people on the left, however you want to frame it, we got guns too. It's just not a part of our personalities. But outside of that, I don't really care for Trump being president.
Like, looking back at it, it wasn't that bad.
I mean, COVID kicked off right.
That was the worst thing of his presidency was when COVID kicked off, and that wasn't his fault.
That wasn't. It kind of was his fault.
That was China's fault.
But it was. But no, it was partly his fault because a lot of the safeguards we had to prevent a pandemic, he took away. It was definitely part of it. Was definitely his fault. I'm not going to say Trump.
It kicked off globally. It was no way we could have prevented it here. If no other country, like some countries had it in lesser degree than us.
I'm saying to the degree we had it, it could have been way less. The degree
it could have been way worse.
It could have been, but what I'm saying is it could have been
like China was clearly lying because they only claimed that like 4,200 people died.
No, China was definitely lying. But what I'm saying is it wouldn't have been as bad if we had those safeguards put in place when Obama wasn't president, which is one good thing I'll give him. But outside of national security reasons and neo-Nazis and white supremacists and all that, Trump's presidency wasn't that bad. Like I said, I'm not worried about white supremacists because of where we live. They have to travel pretty far to get here, and they're not about that life here. They're only tough in certain areas. Here isn't one of them.
And to be honest, the average Trump supporter is not in that pool.
That is right. It's only the extremists.
Which is, and you got extremists for every political candidate, unfortunately. So, but yeah. His presidency wasn't so bad until the COVID-19 thing kicked off. The people I know that hated him the most were like immigrants. Then like it was like immigrants. Like every time I took a Lyft or an Uber, and no disrespect to my South Asian folks here, but like it was usually like Middle Easterners, the South Asian like rideshare people that was always like, oh yes, this is so bad here and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Go back home then.
One guy was talking about...
I'll pull their card.
Damn, is that going up to that roof? Yeah.
Probably.
Is that a bird? I hope that's a bird.
They probably made a mess up there.
The squirrels too, they about to fuck that house up.
But the point is, I'm not saying...
Glad we got our roofing done.
I'm not condoning Trump's racism. But when it comes to immigrants and shit like that come here and start complaining about how bad it is...
Honestly, now we realize he was right about the immigrants. He was like, you're letting in all these... criminals and that's literally what it like. Venezuela emptied out their fucking prisons and sent them up to the border. We got that one little asshole that was talking about, yeah, we can get all these benefits and blah blah blah. New York City,
and there's a national security issue,
and we can just
squat in people's houses.
We can squat in their house and they can't do nothing about it.
Okay.
Do that shit in Texas.
That
cops will thank you for shooting them.
Well, no, I'll give them props for that. And you know, the border is a big issue because we have too many foreign nationals sneaking over here.
Yeah.
Particularly Chinese. I'll stand, and I don't care what nobody says. Call me racist. I don't care. I have a problem with Chinese people showing each other on TikTok what hole in the fence to come in.
Oh, it was on 2020 too.
And I saw it. They literally had a broadcaster talking to the Chinese nationals sneaking in. That's where we're gonna go. We're gonna walk a few miles and call an Uber.
That's what made it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I busted out laughing. I was like, so they came across the border and just ordered an Uber. I'm like, yes. Ain't that the bitch?
And now let you be an American and try some shit like that.
Like, where you wanna go? Take me. No, I ain't gonna say. I was about to be racist.
I'll say it for you. Where you want to go? Take me to Hunt. Where the fuck is Hunt?
Take me to Lee's shitty rice. It was they wouldn't get into some South Park, but remember the guy?
I know he had South Park chicken. He got the titty beef.
You got that, Mongolian. Stop breaking down my shitty wall.
And I don't care. No, we need to call it because it is a national security issue that anybody can sneak over the fucking hole
No, and it was on this man's property at that. They burned down his trees for firewood, and he couldn't do anything about it. He came out on his own property with a gun, and they locked him up for brandishing.
In Texas.
On his own property in Texas. I was like, you gotta be shitting me. I said, this man did not get locked up for brandishing on his own property in Texas. But that's because it was a federal issue instead of local. If it was local, that would not have happened. It's because.
So you want to know the whole.
And then the border police are right there watching them do it, and they're not stopping them.
So you want to know how the whole thing fixes? Put up the fucking wall. Build the fucking wall.
Trump was right.
Trump was right. God damn it. Trump was right. And look, I'm not saying a broken clock is right twice a day. I'm not going to say Trump was perfect because there was a lot of issues I had with him. I had with Trump presidency. However, he was right on the immigration thing. He was right on the immigration thing. He was right on the immigration thing. I'll give him that. He was right on that. He wasn't wrong. You're letting anybody in.
And then, like I said, when he gets faulted for stuff, or like when Biden gets like accolades for stuff, and it's like hypocrisy because people forget when the vaccine first came out while Trump was still in office, and all these people saying, I'm not taking that. It was liberals all like, I'm not taking that vaccine. I don't trust that. That's from Trump. He don't know what he's doing. Then as soon as Biden came in office, pushing the exact same vaccine, everybody must get this. Should get 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember that one asshole on the news got like 100-something shots or something, and they had to examine him to see if he was gonna be okay. Like I think he's still like in some long term. Yeah, Biden said it. Probably jerking off every time they said Biden on the
news. I ain't gonna lie. When Trump was telling people to just drink some Lysol or something.
That shit was funny. That shit.
I was waiting for people to do it.
No, remember, I was on Facebook saying, please let people do this.
I wanted to please do.
Because I'm just a jerk.
Like I said, I'm not going to say Trump is not the smartest. He's not the sharpest knife in the crayon box.
But and then that's another thing I want to get on, because I'm like,
however,
because they tried to claim the man is stupid, but they said the same thing with Bush. And you can't judge someone by how articulate they are, by how intelligent they are. Because Bush had a lot of what came to be known as Bushisms too. And then later on, he admitted that a lot of times he was purposely doing these gaffes because the way he explained it brought him down to like the average man's level. Because otherwise, people would realize this guy's like a Ivy League elite guy with the NBA.
To be fair, and I was going to say that too, to be fair, a lot of the stupid Republicans
Trump does sort of
have an Ivy League education. Trump
does sort of similar thing. He said in other interviews that he likes to ad-lib what he says on screen instead of having it scripted, because it makes him sound more relatable. Because he grew up in a posh lifestyle all his life.
Right.
So he's not a nincompoop. Plus, regardless of what his actual GPA was at UPenn, he did get into it on his own merits of some sort. Well, even if he didn't get into his own merits, he would have got kicked out if he couldn't
hack it.
If he couldn't perform to the level that needed to be to graduate from there. So
right.
And we know, at least back then, that the average college student's IQ is 120, so he wasn't stupid. Whether he sounds that way, or whether because of age-related, deficiencies that may have changed, sure. But Biden is no better at 81, about to be 82 if he gets reelected, an 82-year-old president. To put that in perspective, that's how old Clinton would be, who was in office over 35 years ago.
To put it in further perspective, Biden was in Congress during the Civil Rights Movement.
Yeah.
He was
against it.
He was against it at that. He was at least, 30s? Would have been in his 30s?
When he came into office in the 70s? Because I think he came into the Senate in the 70s. You can look it up.
But the point is, the fact that this man was old enough to be in the government,
like, because people call him a boomer. He's not, guys. He's so old. He's not even a boomer.
He's silent.
He's in the silent generation. That is your grandparents, great grandparents. For some of you, great great grandparents. That's their generation. They came before the boomers. Like, the boomers are from 1946 to 1964. So anyone who came before 1946 is the silent generation. And even before that, there's the greatest generation. So, well, most people from the greatest generation have passed away, except for like a few, like, maybe not, what do you call people in the 90s? Nonagenarians or something like that. But he's so old, he's not even a boomer. That's how ridiculous that is. And I mean, they had to give him some sort of vitamin B12 shot to perform at the the last speech he did for the what do you call it, the State of the Union address or whatever. Like, they must have shot him up with a
Biden
shot of
was born
B12
in 1942. So that means by the 70s, by the 60s, he was 20. He would have been 20 in his 20s.
Yeah, so I think he became in the Senate in the 70s.
So that means he was 30. So this man was 30, at least 30 years old.
Because he had black hair back then.
He was at least 30 years old when he fought against the Civil Rights Act. That, you don't need to be in politics anymore. First of all, you fought against the Civil Rights Act. You have no right to talk about anybody if you're not black, if you're voting for, if you don't.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't see how black people criticize black people for voting for Trump when the other choice is a guy who literally.
Well, I will say I get why, because Trump was also the one pushing that Central Park 5 shit and calling for the deaths of 5 black kids.
Yeah, but he had no political power behind it, whereas Biden literally had the Senate behind him when he co-authored the 1994 crime bill, which locked up tens of thousands of black men.
That's true.
Many who are still serving time today.
No, you're right. I'm not taking that away. They both said they fucked up things to black people. Not in the same quantity, but they both did. Again, like I said, in my opinion, fuck both of them for different reasons. But if black people really wanted to make a difference, vote as a fucking block. If we would have if we put aside the diaspora shit, stop trying to be with Africans and Caribbeans and all that other bullshit. If we put aside all the LGBTQIA stuff, if we put aside the religion and understand, look, as ADOS, if we vote as ADOS or FBA, whatever you want to use, vote as that. Fuck your religion, fuck who you want to sleep with, fuck everything else. FBA first. That comes first. That should be first and foremost. Like every other group, white people fight amongst themselves. They do not like each other, but when it comes to voting for white, feminists get in line. Feminists know how to shut the fuck up and get in a position.
No, they don't, because half of them so-called feminists voted for Trump.
That's what I'm saying. When it comes to the group of white,
no, I'm saying because the white feminists were telling everyone to vote for Clinton. And a lot of those women secretly like, I mean, openly they was like, yeah, Trump didn't secretly. Was like, I mean, for Hillary didn't secretly.
That's what I'm saying. When it comes people like, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to voting, it's about the group. White is the overarching group for them. I don't care. No matter if they're feminist, liberal, conservative, doesn't matter. White is the group. They're going to do what they got to do to make sure white stays at the top.
Well, white elite do that.
Well,
because white is not.
You know what I mean, though. Unified. It's not uniform, but for the most part, the white elite is going to make sure white elite, and by proxy, white stays on top. So I don't care how liberal white women are, they're going to vote to make sure white stays at the top.
Oh, and I didn't say before about FBA, but I gotta give that to Tariq Nasheed. He's the one who created that term. And I don't know if people know, I think he has a channel on YouTube, but he does a lot of podcasts.
I heard he flip-flops a lot though.
I don't know, but so at least he's done like movies and stuff too, like documentaries or whatever. I mean, I'm not into the pro-black space, so, but I'll give him, he created the term foundational Black American that was his term, because I think it sounds better than ADOS, basically, because I don't think we should be defined by slavery, but rather by being the first black people to build America. I think that's better. And I got shout out to Dennis Sperling, who actually put in a reparations act, not for here, but actually to go against African nations or African sovereign nations that basically benefited from the slave trade. So I'm completely for that, because they have the means to correct that, and the way he spelled out his act allows basically the black people, well, the government on behalf of black people here to sue them for still bringing in African slaves after
Britain.
After the slave trade was made, international slave trade was made illegal here in 1807. So they were still bringing slaves after that. So that's how he wants to narrow the Reparations Act to people who were still being brought over after the international slave trade was made illegal here.
I'll tell you about what I said. It wasn't Tariq Nasheed I was thinking about. It was Mark Lamont Hill. I apologize.
Oh, I don't like any of those BET people.
No, he I don't know. That's when he got famous on BET?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. But I take that back. It wasn't, I was saying about Mark Lamont Hill for some reason. That's what I was thinking of. But yeah, other than that, back to what I originally said, I ain't gonna hold you up. Fuck Obama. Fuck that nigga. Bitch ass nigga.
I'm not gonna disagree. Like I said, people in my audience already know I've said I'm voting for Trump, and I get the nasty comments stuff, but like I said, the people who are pro-blackly black wouldn't vote for Biden either. If they're really about it, they will vote for what's his name?
Dr. I know who you're talking about.
It's so bad that I can't remember his name now, and I was originally in favor of him, but he jumped party so many times, because originally he was going to be in the
Green Party.
No, originally the Reform Party or whatever. Well, no, the Reform Party, one of them, and then because that party was dealing with a lot of internal issues, he then switched to the Green Party, and then he left the Green Party, and because they wanted to nominate their former candidate and ran as an independent, which is basically he lost because once you don't have a party backing you, there's no guarantee you'll be on the ballot. Yeah, Dr. Cornel West, because there's no guarantee you'll be on the ballot as an independent. It depends on the state.
But he basically dropped out.
Yeah, that's why you don't hear, because you can't really get support as an independent. The only reason Robert Kennedy is still in this because he's Robert Kennedy Jr., but he's running as an independent. He might be the black horse in the election.
And what's crazy is that
so whoever loses, they're probably going to try to blame Robert Kennedy for stealing the votes. And let's face it, it's going to be Biden, because they're going to say, well, because he originally tried to run as a Democrat and they wouldn't let him, because they was like, well, it's already been decided. Biden is our candidate because he's already the sitting president. But it wouldn't have, more than likely, Kennedy would have already lost to Biden in a primary anyway. And usually the argument goes, primary strengthens the candidate who comes out the victor, so they can challenge the opposing party in the general election. So they were saying that it would have vetted Biden to let him go against Kennedy and these others in a primary, but they didn't want to do that because they know that he's vulnerable.
Like I said, if Cornel West is on the ballot, I'm voting for Cornel West. I don't agree with.
I don't think he is, but he might be a write-in.
I'll write him in.
I mean, you can write him in, but I don't think he's on.
I don't care. Don't say, "Oh, there's a wasted vote." No, it ain't. It's my vote. My vote is never wasted. I don't like my choice between a douche and a turd sandwich, so I pick something different.
On top of that, a third party or independent candidate if they get enough votes, then they can get matching campaign donations.
And that's another thing. And this is my last rant. And I'm done. My problem is people keep talking about, I don't like the system, I don't like the things. Use your fucking vote. Stop voting for the same douchebags and the same turd sandwiches. If you don't like these candidates, don't vote for those candidates. Vote for the write-in. Or vote independent. You have the option to do this. If you don't like the fact that we have a two-party system, don't participate in a two-party system. Don't vote along party line. It's like, it's not that fucking hard.
Or become politically active and actually start participating in your local
elections,
city halls, your town halls. Like, people don't go to those meetings, and they're open to everyone. Like, most people don't know that they can go to their town hall meetings to voice their opinions on things. They can go to their city hall to voice their opinions on things. They can run for small local offices, and then affect things on a local level where it actually matters, because the presidential election doesn't really matter. It's decided by the electoral vote. And if you want things to matter, then you'll try to get your local politicians to push for ranked choice voting in your state, which 1 or 2 states have already gotten so far ranked choice voting. But that will actually make it more so where the popular vote actually matters. But with the electoral vote, it really doesn't matter, because if most of your state votes for one candidate, except for 2 states, Maine and I think Nevada, whoever gets the majority vote gets all the electoral votes. So it makes voting not really even matter. That's why we have such a low voter turnout in this country compared to many other ones. You go to places like the Philippines, and like, they're probably showing their little ink on their finger from doing the vote and stuff. Like, they have a huge voter turnout each year, even though they have shitty presidents. But that's all I was gonna say.
Yeah, I said it once, I said it again. Fuck that nigga Obama.
And there you go.